the disciplinary hearing that expelled 2 black belts and reversed a dean's decision started with 40 seconds of parking garage footage the university swore did not exist. Hold that image. Now come back 11 days to a quad with no cameras and nobody watching who mattered. Right? Yes, up now. Rent a cop. Go ahead. Reach for your little radio. 3 Letterman jackets fanned out around 1 flashlight. 11:40 at night. The grass still wet from the sprinklers. The one in the middle was Paxton Hull, 21 years old. Black belt. Perfect teeth. Say something. You wrote us up. Say it to my face. The guard said nothing. He held the flashlight low, pointed at the ground. A pledge stood 8 feet back with his phone up, hands shaking, filming. He's not even gonna talk, said the one on the left. It's a bot. It's an actual campus NPC. Then they bumped him. Shoulder from the right. Shoulder from the left. A chest from the front. 3 angles. 3 seconds. Enough to knock most men off their heels. The guard did not go off his heels. His name was Moses Tate, 49 years old. Night shift. Badge number 314. Kids, he said, it's late. Go on home. Home? This is our school, man. My family built half of it. Paxton stepped in, close enough that Moses could smell the champagne and the cheap cologne over it. My family's name is on 2 buildings, Paxton said. Yours is on a plastic badge. Names on buildings wash off, son, Moses said. Walk home safe. And here is the part nobody in that quad noticed. The part the internet would notice later. Moses never squared up to any one of them. His feet never crossed. Not once. Left foot slid. Right foot followed. A quarter turn. Then again. He rotated through the triangle they had made. Slow. Even. Keeping all 3 in his eyes at the same time. It was not a fighting stance. It did not look like anything. That was the point. It was a pattern, a specific one, written down somewhere on a specific page by a specific man. The pledge's phone caught 6 full seconds of it. Paxton's fists were tight and his shoulders were up by his ears. His pulse jumped in his throat. Moses's throat did not move at all. Nothing, Paxton laughed. There's nothing in there. Boys were arguing with a vending machine. They shoved past him hard enough to spin the flashlight beam across the grass. Moses caught the flashlight before it left his hand. He did not look down to do it. He waited until they were gone. Then he took out a notebook. He wrote in block letters, the way he had written for 22 years. Time. Location. 3 subjects. No injuries, no force used. He put the notebook in his chest pocket. He picked up his loop where he had left it. 900 students were asleep behind those windows. Somebody had to walk past them. That 6 seconds of footwork was about to be watched 2 million times. In 11 days, it would end 2 educations. Kill the naming rights on a $40 million building, and put 1 dean in front of a microphone she could not turn off. But before we continue, subscribe now and tell us in the comments where you are watching from and what time you saw this video. Tonight's story is one you will never forget. Moses Tate spent 22 years in the United States Marine Corps, most of it in force reconnaissance, and he had never once said those words out loud on that campus. He did not have a bumper sticker. He did not have a hat. There was one small scar on his right forearm, pale and flat, and if you asked, he said a car door. 4 years ago, the Kellerman University Police Department had a defensive tactics program that was 14 pages long and useless. Chief Lomax asked around. Somebody said the night guard used to teach this stuff. Moses rewrote the whole thing. 61 pages. Diagrams, drill progressions. 3 weekends a month, unpaid, for a year. He would not take money for it. He would not take a title. They printed it. The author line came back blank because he asked for it blank. Page 1 was footwork. Page 1 was always footwork. Everything else in his life fit in one truck and one apartment. A green thermos, black coffee, no sugar. A bag of butterscotch, hard candy in his left pocket, restocked every Sunday. The candy was for the freshmen who cried on the library steps in October. There were more of those than people think. His loop was 4.2 miles. He walked it 6 times a night at the same speed. Students set their phones by him. If Moses passed the science building, it was 1:15. That is the whole man. A thermos, a loop, a bag of candy, and 61 pages with no name on them. Now watch what a rich kid with a black belt does with a man like that. The clip went up at 7:02 the next morning. Caption: Campus NPC malfunctioning. 40,000 views before lunch. 110,000 by dinner. The comments were what you would expect from people who have never worked a night shift. Bro froze Lamau. That's a $14 an hour flinch. Rent-a-cop energy. Moses did not have the app. He found out because a girl at the coffee cart apologized to him. "I'm so sorry," she said. "It's all over everything." "That's all right," Moses said. "Did you eat today?" She said no. He gave her a butterscotch and told her the dining hall did eggs until 10. At 9:41 that morning, a comment appeared under the clip from an account with a badge photo. Officer D. Ruiz, Kellerman University Police, 3rd year on the job. Trained on 61 pages he had read until the spine cracked, he wrote. "Y'all are laughing, but that pattern is literally page 1 of our DT manual. Whoever that guard is, he's not who you think he is." 11 likes. Then 20. Then a reply that said, "Who asked?" 60 seconds later, Officer Ruiz remembered his chain of command and deleted it. 60 seconds is a long time on the internet. 9 people had already screenshotted it. One of them was a sophomore who worked at the student paper and did not know why she saved it. Paxton saw the comment before it vanished. He was in the frat house kitchen with his shirt off, drinking something pink out of a shaker bottle. "Some cop is simping for the janitor," he said. "Cade, look at this." Cade Merrow, 6'2", second black belt in the trio, laughed with his whole chest. "He's not even a janitor," Cade said. "Janitors have keys. Beckett, you seeing this?" Beckett Voss, the 3rd belt, the quiet one, the one who watched doors. He looked at the screenshot longer than the other 2. "Page 1 of what manual?" Beckett said. "Who cares?" Paxton said. "Nobody's page 1 is a guy standing still." He set the shaker bottle on the counter edge to grab his phone and take a victory selfie. The bottle went off the edge. Pink protein across the tile, across his shoes, across the cabinet door. He turned to grab it, and his heel found the puddle. He came down on his hip on his own kitchen floor, in front of 6 brothers, and every one of them heard the sound he made. "Captain down," somebody yelled, and the room came apart laughing. Somebody filmed it. Somebody always films it. And at 11:20 that same morning, the supplement company that gave Paxton free product and a discount code commented on his clip. "Keep it classy, champ." He read it 4 times looking for the joke. There was no joke in it. Officer Ruiz printed his own deleted comment on department paper and put it in his desk drawer. He did not know why. He would know in 10 days. You would think a kid who slipped in his own protein would let it go. Paxton Hull did the opposite. He went on offense. At 2 p.m., he walked into the Office of Student Affairs in a blazer, with his hair fixed, and filed a formal complaint against a university employee. The complaint said Moses Tate approached 3 students at night in an unlit area. It said Moses Tate took an aggressive fighting posture and circled them. It said the students feared for their physical safety and felt targeted for their fraternity affiliation. It was signed by 3 students. It was witnessed by a family attorney. It was on Dean Irene Fowles's desk by 3:15, and Dean Fowles read documents the way she had read them for 18 years. Name first, then the rest. Hull. Hull as in Gerald Hull. Hull as in the athletics wing breaking ground in the spring. She had a photograph on her wall of herself with a gold shovel. At 4:40, they called Moses in. He came in his uniform because he had a shift at 6. The chair in her office was too small for him. He sat on the front edge of it with his hat in both hands. "Mr. Tate, do you know why you're here?" "I assume it's about the write-up I filed on the dock party, ma'am." "It's about a complaint filed against you." He blinked once. "By who?" "By 3 students who say you menaced them." Moses set his hat on his knee. "Ma'am, I've got it logged. Time, place, what was said. I can bring the book right now. It's in my locker. Do you deny taking a fighting stance?" "I deny fighting, ma'am." "That's not what I asked." "I know it isn't." He said it kindly. That was the thing about Moses. He said hard things kindly. Dean Fowles turned her pen over twice. "There is video." "I'd like to see it." "You've seen it." "Everyone has seen it. It shows you circling 3 young men in the dark. It shows me keeping 3 young men in front of me, ma'am. Those aren't the same thing. To a 19-year-old they are. They were 21, ma'am. And they wrote something down." Then she said the sentence that started the second ledger. "Effective immediately, your building access is suspended pending review. Turn in your master fob. You'll be reassigned to the perimeter lot when this concludes." Moses looked at her for 2 full seconds. "Ma'am, there are 900 kids in those buildings between midnight and 6. There are officers. There are 2 officers, ma'am, and one of them handles the hospital run. Mr. Tate." He stood up. He put his hat on. He unclipped the master fob and set it on her desk without a sound. "Can I get a copy of my log for my own file?" She typed. She frowned. She typed up again. There's no incident report in the system for that date. I filed it at midnight. Block letters, ma'am. It's a paper form. I file the paper and it gets scanned. There's nothing scanned, then it's misplaced, or it wasn't filed. That one landed. You could see it land. His jaw moved once and then stopped. It was filed, he said. The review will determine that. From here on, count 2 ledgers. The first one is the boys. Every shove, every laugh, every caption. The second one is quieter and it costs more. A dean who read a name before a report. A log that walked out of a filing system by itself. A man who protected 900 sleeping kids getting his keys taken because a donor's son filled out a form. Both of those ledgers get paid. Keep counting. Outside her office, Officer Ruiz was waiting by the vending machines. Out of uniform, arms crossed. They pulled your fob. They did. Moses. That complaint is garbage. I've seen the clip. You de-escalated 3 drunk guys with your hands empty. There's a process, Danny. The process is a lady who reads names off a plaque. Moses looked at him for a while. Then he said, "The process is slow. It's not blind." Ruiz laughed. One hard breath, no humor in it. You actually believe that. I do. You wrote our manual and she just suspended you for standing in it. Let it work. Moses said, "It'll work. That belief is the crack in this man, remember it. It is going to cost people who are not him." That night Moses worked his last shift with a badge that opened doors. At 3:50 a.m. He stood in the parking garage on level 3 with his flashlight up at the ceiling, camera housing. Dead lens. Cable hanging out of the conduit like a pulled tooth. He had filed on this camera before. Twice, both times, closed, no fault found. He got out the notebook and wrote his 4th request in block letters, pressing hard. Garage level 3, East Bank, cam 12 and cam 14 non-functional. 3rd report. Low light, high foot traffic 11P-2A. Request repair or signage. He signed it. He dropped it in maintenance intake at 4:02 a.m. Nobody read it that week. Somebody read it the next week. Remember that piece of paper. It is the whole story. With the fob gone, the trio understood something about the world, and it made them worse. They understood that there was no cost. Tuesday night they ordered $400 of food to the frat house and met the courier at the curb. His name was Dev, 26, 2 jobs. A car with a coat hanger for an antenna. Order for Hull? That's me. Paxton took the bags. Then he held out his hand, palm up, like a man expecting change. Tips on the app, Dev said. Yeah, I canceled it. Dev's face did the thing that tired people's faces do. Sir, I drove 11 miles. Then drive 11 miles back. Come on, man. Cade stepped off the porch. Just stepped. 6'2" of stepping. Dev backed up, and his heel caught the curb, and Cade shoved him in the chest with one hand, open palm, the way you push a door. Dev sat down in the gutter. The last bag went out of his hands, and the soup went everywhere. They filmed that too. The caption was, "Tip yourself." Thursday, it was one of their own. A pledge named Grady Nunn, 19, 140 pounds, the same kid who had filmed the quad, failed a quiz on frat history. They walked him to the fountain in the middle of the quad. November. 39 degrees. In, Paxton said. All the way under. Come up saying the founders' names. Paxman. It's freezing. Cold builds character. Grady. Grady went in. He came up gasping so hard he could not make words. And going in he grabbed for something to hold, and what he caught was Paxton's ankle. Paxton stayed on his feet. His phone did not. $1,700 of glass went into 8 inches of fountain water and came out with the screen the color of an oil slick. He screamed a word we cannot repeat on this channel. Cade laughed so hard he had to sit on the fountain wall. It's not funny. Bro, it's a little funny. Every video they had shot that week lived on that phone. All of it gone. Grady stood in the water shaking with his arms crossed over his chest, and nobody helped him out. Somebody did, though. 20 minutes later, on the sidewalk outside the campus fence. Moses Tate, no uniform, no badge, no radio. Holding a flashlight he had bought at a hardware store with his own money. He put his jacket over the kid's shoulders. Sit in my truck. Heater's already on. You're not. Aren't you suspended? I'm off the clock. Then why are you out here? Moses looked down the fence line at the long, dark stretch between the library and the north dorms. Because girls walk that at 1 in the morning, he said. And the fence doesn't care what my badge says. He walked his loop every night that week. Outside the fence. Off the clock. Unpaid. 4.2 miles became 5.1 because the perimeter was longer. He still had the butterscotch in his left pocket. He gave out 14 pieces that week. He walked parallel to a nursing student named Priya every Wednesday at 1:20 a.m. on the other side of the chain link. 20 feet away, never talking, just there. The third Wednesday she stopped and said, "Thank you." "Yes, ma'am," Moses said. "Get some sleep." And every single night, he went home and he did the thing that would nearly bury him. He filed. He emailed student affairs about the courier. He emailed the dean's office about the fountain. He attached times. He attached his own handwritten statements, scanned, block letters. He wrote in the last line of every one of them. Respectfully quest review. No action taken by me. 11 emails in 9 days, 0 replies. Not 0 readers, though. Officer Danny Ruiz had built a folder on the campus PD server. He named it with Moses's badge number, 314, so it looked like nothing. Every email Moses sent, Ruiz saved. Every scanned page, every timestamp. He did not tell Moses. He told his shift. 6 officers on nights. And every one of them had learned their job out of a 61-page book with a blank author line. Who wrote this thing? A rookie asked, thumbing the spine. Ruiz looked at the blank line for a long moment. That's the question, he said. Ask me again in a week. Gala week hit the campus like a parade. Gerald Hull was giving $22 million toward a $40 million athletics wing. And the university intended to be grateful in a room with a string quartet. Banners went up on the light poles. Hull Athletics Complex. Coming fall. Paxton walked under his own last name 11 times a day and never once looked up. That is what it means to grow up rich. Tuesday of Gala week. Dean Fowles held a staff meeting and said one sentence that told everyone in the room exactly what kind of place they worked at. The Tate Review will conclude quietly after Friday's event. Quietly. Everybody knows what quietly means. Quietly means the answer is already written, and the only thing left to schedule is the funeral. His pay had been reduced to base without shift differential. $210 a week gone. That Sunday, he still bought 2 bags of butterscotch. Same brand, same store. He sat at his kitchen table at 4 in the afternoon with the green thermos and the notebook and a pen. And he made a list of every email he had sent and the date he sent it. The apartment was very quiet. There was one photograph on the wall. 11 men in front of a helicopter, and nobody in the photo was named on it. Moses did not look at that photograph often. He looked at it that night. Then he put on his jacket and went and walked a fence line for free. Friday night, the trio came to the gala in tuxedos, with their black belts tied over the cummerbunds. Nobody wears a belt with a tux, Cade said in the mirror. We do, Paxton said. They got a photo with the provost. They got a photo with the mascot. They got a photo doing a mock stance beside a bronze statue, and the athletic director gave them a thumbs up. Champagne came around on trays, and nobody carded anybody, because nobody cards a Hull. At 8:40, Gerald Hull took the microphone and talked about legacy for 9 minutes. At 8:49, Paxton took the microphone from his father and said, "This is what happens when a family shows up." The room applauded a 21-year-old for his father's money, and he took every clap personally. At 9:05, a woman in catering blacks walked into the donor relations office at the back of the hall and put a piece of paper on the desk. Her name was Rosa Alvarez. She owned the company plating 400 dinners in the next room. "I need this on record tonight," she said. The donor relations director looked at the paper and then looked at her. "Ma'am, we're mid-event. I know what time it is. I'm at the event. Read it." It was a formal complaint. One of her drivers had been shoved to the ground on a curb on the 11th by students on a delivery to a fraternity house on university property. The driver had photographs of a bruised elbow and a receipt with a name on it. The name on the receipt was Hull P. Rosa Alvarez did not raise her voice. She just did not leave. "That boy is out there in a tuxedo tonight," she said. "My driver's got a knee brace. I want it in writing that I told you." The director wrote it down because she would not go away. That paper was still sitting on that desk at midnight when everything else happened. And by Monday morning, it would be the second worst piece of paper in that building. Here is what nobody at that gala knew. 2 things. Both of them were already true. Both of them were already recording. The first thing was a work order. On the Tuesday of gala week, a maintenance tech named Earl Prynne, 4 days from retirement, got tired of a certain stack in his inbox. 4th request on the same 2 cameras. Same handwriting. Block letters pressed hard enough to emboss the page. "Whoever this guy is, he doesn't quit," Earl said. And he sent a 2-man crew to level 3 of the east garage. They found a chewed cable and a lens housing full of spider web. They replaced both units. New spec. Color, not black and white. Low light, capable. 30 frames a second, they aimed cam 12 down the east row between the concrete pillars, and cam 14 at the stairwell door. Earl closed the ticket Wednesday at 4:15 p.m. and drove home. The garage cameras Moses Tate had reported 3 times and been ignored. 3 times were repaired on the 4th request, 6 days before he needed them, and they were recording in full color. The second thing was a folder. Officer Danny Ruiz had spent 9 days copying a paper trail into a place the dean's office could not reach. Every email, every scan, and one more thing. On Thursday, Ruiz went to the campus PD supply closet, pulled the master copy of the Defensive Tactics Manual, and photographed page 1. Then he went to the department archive and pulled the original curriculum submission from 4 years back. The submission had a cover sheet. The cover sheet had a signature, M. Tate. Block letters and then the signature, and then a line that said do not print near credit. Paranir request. Ruiz sat in a plastic chair in a basement and looked at that piece of paper for a long time. Then he photographed it too. He called Chief Lomax at home. Chief, I need you to know something before it becomes a problem. Ruiz, it's 9 at night. The guard the dean suspended wrote our manual, all 61 pages, unpaid, and she pulled his fob for standing in his own footwork drill. The line was silent for 8 seconds. Send me everything, Lomax said. Do not send it to anyone else yet. Yes, sir. And Ruiz, put a car in the east garage this week. Sir, just do it. The institution's story was already dead by Thursday night. Nobody had told the institution yet. At 11:50 p.m., the gala emptied out into a cold parking lot full of German cars. Moses Tate pulled into the east garage at 11:54 in a 15-year-old pickup. He was there because his review concluded Monday, and the letter said to return all issued equipment before that date. Uniform shirts on hangers, radio in a padded case, badge on top of the folded jacket on the passenger seat. He backed into a spot on level 3, east row, and sat for a second with his hands on the wheel. Then he opened the door and heard 3 sets of dress shoes coming off the stairwell. There he is. Paxton Hull, bow tie undone, jacket gone, black belt still on, champagne on him like cologne. Cade on his right, Beckett a step behind, hands in his pockets, and 11 feet back, a 19-year-old pledge in a rented tux holding a phone up because he had been told to. Grady, film it. Film all of it. Pax, film it. Moses closed his truck door. He did not step away from it, and he did not step toward them. Gentlemen, it's late. You know what tonight was? Paxton walked down the row between the pillars. Tonight, my father gave this school $22 million. Congratulations to him. And you know what you did this month? You filed 11 emails about me. 14, Moses said. Cade laughed. He's counting. I count, Moses said. It's the job. It's not your job anymore. Paxton's voice cracked off the concrete and came back doubled. You're done Monday. They told my dad at dinner. So tonight we finish the review ourselves. Moses looked past him. Not at him, past him. He checked the stairwell door. He checked the ramp. He checked the 2 blind spots behind the pillars. He has been checking exits in every room he has entered since he was 23 years old, and he has never once been able to stop. "Go home," Moses said. "All three of you." "That's the only thing I'm going to say tonight. Say it again with your little stance. Do the thing. Do the NPC thing. Go home. Make me. Rent a cop." And here is where a bad night turns into 11 days of consequences. Because up on the concrete beam, 9 feet above the east row, a camera that had been dead for 8 months was awake. Full color, 30 frames a second, time-stamped, recording every one of them from the shoulders up. Nobody in that garage looked up. Cade moved first, wide to the left, the way you do when you have watched enough fight footage to think you know what a flank is. Beckett drifted right, slower, hands still in his pockets, eyes on Moses' feet. Beckett was the only one of the 3 who was ever going to be smart. And he was 90 seconds too late to be smart. Paxton set his back foot and rolled his shoulders. "You want to know what I am?" he said. 2-time state. Undefeated in my division. I believe you. Nobody's ever taken my round kick. Son, I'm asking you one more time. Get in a car and go to bed. Moses set his thermos on the hood of his truck. He set it down gently, the way you set down something that is still. Hot, his hands came up, open, palms out, at chest height. His feet slid. Left, then right. A quarter turn, the same pattern from the quad. The same 6 seconds 100,000 people had laughed at. Beckett Voss saw it, and his whole face changed. "Pax," he said. "Pax, wait." Paxton threw the kick. It was honestly a beautiful kick. High, fast. Hip fully turned over. The kick he ends highlight reels with. It was also a kick built for a padded floor, a referee, and an opponent who agrees to stand still. Moses did not stand still. He did not block. He did not lean back. He stepped in. Diagonal, forward, inside the arc, into the space where the kick had already been. The whole force of it passed behind his shoulder and hit nothing but garage air. And when a man kicks that hard at that height, for 1/2 second he is standing on one leg. Moses's lead foot came down on the outside of Paxton's base foot and stayed there. Then he simply took the ankle out from under him with the edge of his boot. There is no trick to it. It is leverage. A man on one leg has no base, and a base you can move is not a base. Paxton Hull went down flat on his back on cold concrete, and the air came out of him in one sound. The camera got all of it in color. He was on his back for about a second before he tried to get up. And by then he could not, because a knee was across his shoulder, and his own wrist was folded and pinned against his own chest. Not twisted, not cranked, just held. Bone to bone, elbow trapped. No leverage left anywhere in his body. "Don't fight it," Moses said very quietly. "You'll hurt yourself. I'm not going to. Get off me. I'm going to let you up when you stop." Cade came in from behind, both arms, a bare hug around the chest. The thing that works on every drunk guy at every bar in America. Moses dropped his weight 2 inches and turned his hip. That is all. 2 inches and a hip. Cade Merrow, 210 pounds, went over that hip and landed on the hood of his own BMW. He landed flat, back first, spread out, unhurt, absolutely stuck. One forearm across his collarbones held him there. He kicked twice at nothing, and then he stopped kicking. Because he had figured out that he could not move and that nothing hurt. And those two facts together are the most frightening thing a strong young man can learn. "Breathe," Moses said. "You're fine. Breathe out." He was holding two black belts on the ground, with a resting pulse and a voice you would use on a spooked horse. Beckett Voss stood 11 feet away and did the math. He looked at the man's feet. Left slide, right follow. Quarter turn, the same pattern he had laughed at in a group chat. Now it was 3 feet away and turning toward him. Beckett ran. He ran for the stairwell in dress shoes, and he hit the door with both hands, and he was gone. Cam 14 was aimed at that stairwell door. It got him from the front. Full color, running. "Grady," Moses said, not looking up. "You still filming?" The pledge's voice came out about an octave high. "Yes, sir." "Good. Keep filming. Don't stop until the officers get here. Do you understand me?" "Yes, sir." "Are you cold, son?" "What?" "You're shaking. There's a jacket in my truck. Get it when I'm done." Paxton was still going. "Do you know who my father? I know who your father is." "You're dead. You are done. You're a rent-a-cop with a plastic badge." Moses leaned down an inch. "I wrote the page you just fell for," he said. Chapter 1. Footwork. Paxton stopped talking. 61 pages, Moses said. Campus police train on it every August. Page 1 is how a man stands, so 3 people can't get behind him. That's the thing you posted. That's the thing you called nothing. You're lying. Ask them when they get here. They'll be here in about 90 seconds. Who are you? Force Reconnaissance, United States Marine Corps. 22 years. Moses said it the way you would read a grocery list. And in about 10 years you'd have been a decent kid, if somebody had told you no even one time. He felt the arm go slack. "Are you done?" "Yeah." "Say it." "I'm done. I'm done. I'm done." Moses let go and stood up and stepped back 3 feet. Hands open at his sides. He walked to the hood of the BMW. "You done?" Cade nodded fast, 6 or 7 times. Moses lifted the forearm and stepped back and let him slide off the hood onto his own feet. Nobody was bleeding. Nobody was hurt. Both boys were breathing like they had run a mile. Moses walked back to his truck, picked up his own radio out of the padded case, and keyed it. Dispatch 314. Non-emergency East Garage, Level 3. 2 subjects on scene. 1 departed on foot toward the west stairs. No injuries. No weapons. I used 2 control holds. Both released. Requesting an officer and a supervisor. Dispatch 314. You're suspended from. I'm aware. Send an officer and a supervisor, please. I'll be standing by my vehicle with my hands visible. That is what block letters sound like out loud. He stood by the truck with his hands out of his pockets and waited for the police to come and look at him. Officer Danny Ruiz got there in 50 seconds. Because Chief Lomax had put a car in the east garage that week. He came around the pillar with his light up, and he saw the whole thing, a tuxedo on the ground. A tuxedo against a car, a pledge filming, and a 49-year-old man standing perfectly still with his palms toward the camera. "Moses, you all right?" I'm fine. Danny, take their statements first, then mine. Sir, I'm gonna need to. Take theirs first, Moses said. That's how the process works. Ruiz took a long breath through his nose. Yes, sir, he said. Yes, it is. Grady Nunn had been told to upload everything to the fraternity's shared cloud folder. So at 12:41 a.m., cold and shaking and doing what he was told, he uploaded it. 4 minutes and 11 seconds of video. Nile, garage. Move. 51 members of that fraternity had access to that folder. At 1:06 a.m., a senior named Anton Reyes, who had been thinking about depledging since October, and had a sister who walked home from the library at midnight, opened it out of curiosity. He watched it twice. Then he watched the part where the guard says, "Are you cold, son? There's a jacket in my truck." At 1:19 a.m., Anton Reyes forwarded that file to the tip line of the Kellerman Ledger, the student paper, with one line of text. This happened tonight. I'm not anonymous. My name is Anton Reyes, and I'll say it on the record. The Ledger's night editor was a junior named Nia Corbett, who had a screenshot in her camera roll from 11 days earlier that she had never deleted. A screenshot of a deleted comment from an officer that said, "That pattern is literally page 1 of our DT manual." She sat straight up in bed at 1:24 in the morning and said one word out loud in an empty room. By 6 a.m. Saturday, 3 things existed that could not be unexisted. 4 minutes of phone footage from a pledge. 40 seconds of full-color garage footage from Cam 12 and Cam 14, time-stamped, already pulled to a drive by the campus PD night shift as evidence. And a screenshot of a deleted comment tying the guard on the ground to page 1 of a police manual. At 9 a.m. Saturday, the Hull family lawyer called the university and used the words, "unprovoked assault by a disgruntled former employee." At 9:20, the dean's office released a statement saying there was no video record of the incident in question. They actually said that, in writing, in an email to a student newspaper. At 9:22, Nia Corbett called Officer Danny Ruiz's cell, and Ruiz said the 11 words that ended it. "There is video. It's in color. Call our chief, not me." Chief Lomax walked into Dean Fowles's office at 11 a.m. Saturday with a thumb drive and a folder. "Irene," he said, "before you say anything else out loud, watch this." She watched 40 seconds. She watched a man ask 3 young men to go home. She watched a kick get thrown at his head. She watched him not throw one back. She watched him step off a boy's shoulder and step back with his hands open. She watched him key a radio and report himself. "Turn it off," she said. "There's more. Turn it off, Ted. I said there's more." He put the folder on her desk and opened it to the second page. It was the original curriculum submission from 4 years ago. Cover sheet, signature, and the line, "Do not print Acer, credit, Peracer, Perquest." Every officer on my department learned to keep their hands off students out of that book, Lomax said. He wrote it for free. He wouldn't take a dime, and he wouldn't take his name on it. Dean Fowles did not say anything. "You pulled that man's building access," Lomax said, "for demonstrating page 1. There was a complaint. There was a name, Lomax said. I've known you 9 years, Irene. There was a name. He tapped the 3rd page. And this is his incident log from the 11th, the one your office couldn't find. She looked at it. Block letters. Scanned. Timestamped 12:04 a.m. on the 11th, scanned into the university's own system at 12:11 a.m. on the 11th. And modified, removed from the accessible folder at 4:52 p.m. on the 12th. 71 minutes after Paxton Hull filed his complaint. That timestamp is going to be read out loud, Lomax said. You should decide today whether you want to be the one reading it. The Ledger published Sunday night. 40 seconds of color video embedded at the top. The screenshot of the deleted comment. A photo of page 1 of the manual. And a headline that ran the width of the page. The guard they laughed at wrote the police. Manual by Monday morning, the video had 900,000 views. By Tuesday, 4 million. The internet did what the internet does. It slowed the footage down. Somebody put the quad clip beside the garage clip, frame by frame, and drew arrows on his feet. Left, slide, right follow, quarter turn, identical, 11 days apart. Somebody laid page 1 of the manual over the top of it, and the 2 diagrams matched like a key in a lock. 12,000 comments on that one video alone. The top comment had 90,000 likes. He did the exact same thing to 3 drunk kids that he did to a black belt. He just never had to finish it the first time. Officer Danny Ruiz opened his desk drawer, took out a printed copy of his own deleted comment, and put it on Chief Lomax's desk, without a word. Yeah, Lomax said. I saw it. Everybody saw it. That's the point. The hearing was set for Thursday at 2 p.m. They had booked a conference room that holds 30. By Wednesday afternoon, they moved it to Halloran Auditorium. Because 600 people had asked to attend, and 4 news trucks had already parked on Grand Avenue. 610 seats, every one of them full. Students standing along both walls. Campus PD night shift came in on their own time, in uniform, and stood along the back wall in a line. They did not say anything. They just stood there where the board could see them. Moses Tate wore a gray suit that was 15 years old and pressed that morning. He sat in the second row with his hat on his knee and his notebook in his chest pocket. He had asked, twice, whether he could just submit a written statement and skip it. Chief Lomax had said no. Chief Lomax had said, "You've done everything on paper for 4 years. Do this one out loud." Board Chair Warren Okafor called it at 2:04. This hearing concerns a student conduct matter and an employment action. We'll take them in that order. Gerald Hull sat in the front row with 2 lawyers and did not look behind him once. Paxton sat beside him in a blazer, with his hair fixed. Cade sat 2 seats over. Beckett sat alone at the end of the row, with his hands between his knees. The first thing they played was 40 seconds, full color, no sound at first, then sound. 600 people watched a man in a parking garage say, "Go home." All 3 of you, that's the only thing I'm going to say tonight. 600 people watched a black belt throw a head kick at a 49-year-old, and watched the 49-year-old step inside it and put him down like a folding chair. 600 people watched him let go. The room did not gasp. It went completely silent. The way a room goes when everybody in it is embarrassed for the same person at the same time. Somewhere in the middle rows, a phone hit the floor and nobody bent to get it. A man in the third row, an assistant coach in a school polo, came half out of his seat and then sat back down and put a hand over his mouth. A woman in the balcony said, "No way," out loud, and then said sorry to nobody. When it ended, the auditorium lights came up, and Paxton Hull was looking at the floor. Chair Okafor said, "For the record, this footage is from cameras 12 and 14 in the east structure. Those cameras were repaired on the 18th pursuant to a maintenance request." Would counsel read the requesting party? The clerk read it. Fourth request. Filed by M. Tate, badge 314, at 4:02 a.m. on the 12th. 600 people did that math at once. The man they ambushed is the reason the camera that filmed the ambush was working. Nia Corbett was called next as the student paper's editor to enter published materials into the record. She read the caption of the original post, "Campus NPC malfunctioning." Then she read the transcript of the quad audio, and she read it flat and clear into a microphone in front of 600 people and 4 cameras. "Write us up now, rent a cop. Go ahead, reach for your little radio." She let it sit. "That's Mr. Hull on the 11th, she said. The response from Mr. Tate was, "Kids, it's late. Go on home." Somewhere behind Paxton, a girl said, "Oh my God," into her hands. "There's one more line," Nia said. "Mr. Hull says as, quote, 'My family's name is on 2 buildings. Yours is on a plastic badge.'" Gerald Hull's neck went red above his collar. He did not turn around. Chief Lomax was sworn next. He put 2 documents on the projector side by side. On the left, a still from the quad video. A night guard, feet mid-slide. 3 boys around him. On the right, page 1 of the Kellerman University Police Department Defensive Tactics Manual. Diagram 1A. Triangle management. Non-contact. The 2 images matched down to the angle of the feet. "This is the manual every officer in my department is certified on," Lomax said. "It's been in service 4 years. Author line's been blank the whole time." He clicked to the next slide. The original submission cover sheet, the signature, and the line, "Do not print in either credit. Parader request." That's his handwriting, and that's his request, Lomax said. He wrote 61 pages on his own time for 4 years of nothing, and this board suspended him for standing in diagram 1A. He clicked once more. "This is the reprint order I filed Tuesday. It goes to the printer Friday. I'd like the board to see the author line." The slide came up. Defensive Tactics for Campus Law Enforcement, to end edition. Written by Moses Tate, GUSMC. Force reconnaissance. 600 people started clapping, and Chair Okafor had to ask them twice to stop. Moses did not stand up. He looked at his hat. Then the clerk entered the incident log, scanned at 12:11 a.m. on the 11th, removed from the accessible folder at 4:52 p.m. on the 12th. 71 minutes, Okafor said, after the complaint against Mr. Tate was filed. Dean Fowles, Do you have an explanation for the board? Irene Fowles stood up at her table. There were no donor cameras in the room. Gerald Hull's PR people had pulled out Wednesday night. The only cameras left were student press and local news, which is to say, the kind that do not care what your building is called. I do not have an explanation, she said. I have an admission. The room got very still. On the 12th of last month, I read a complaint against an employee. I read the complainant's surname first. I did not read the employee's file at all. She put both hands flat on the table. I suspended Moses Tate's building access on the strength of a name. I did not verify the log. When my office could not find it, I told Mr. Tate it might never have existed. That was not true, and I did not check whether it was true. She looked up at the board, not at the audience. On the record, I am reversing my own decision. Mr. Tate's access is restored effective immediately, retroactive to the 12th. I'm recommending full back pay, including shift differential. And I've submitted my resignation from the review committee, effective, at the end of this hearing. She sat down. Nobody clapped for that. Nobody booed either. 600 people just watched a woman say a true thing 11 days late. Then came the part the auditorium had actually come for. On the conduct matters, Chair Okafor said, the board has reviewed video evidence, 3 witness statements, a complaint from an outside vendor, and prior incidents. Outside vendor was Rosa Alvarez's complaint. The paper that had sat on the donor relations desk during the string quartet. It had a receipt attached with a name on it. Paxton Hull. Assault of a contracted delivery worker on university property. Hazing resulting in cold water immersion of a minor status pledge in November. Filing a false conduct complaint against a university employee. Assault of that employee following a university event. Okafor did not raise his voice at all. He read it like a grocery list. Expulsion, effective immediately. Trespass notice for all university property. Gerald Hull stood up. Sit down, Mr. Hull. Or I'll have you removed, and it will be on television. He sat down. Cade Merrow, assault of a contracted delivery worker, participation in hazing, assault of a university employee, expulsion effective immediately. Cade made a sound. Nobody looked at him. Beckett Voss. Participation and departure from the scene. Suspension of 2 academic years. Mandatory conduct review before any petition to return. Beckett nodded once, staring at the floor, and did not argue. The fraternity's recognition is revoked pending national review. Okafor turned a page. Finally, the board has voted to postpone indefinitely the naming of the athletics complex. Construction proceeds. The name does not. Somebody in the balcony started to cheer and got shushed by 12 people at once. And then Paxton Hull, 21 years old, did the only thing left in him. He stood up. This is insane, he said. My family's name is on 2 buildings on this campus. 2. Chair Okafor looked at him over his glasses for about 3 seconds. As of this morning, he said, 1. They took the banners down off the light poles that afternoon. Students filmed it. Of course they did. The clip of a maintenance lift lowering Hull Athletics complex Coming fall into a truck bed got 2 million views by Saturday. The supplement company that had commented, "Keep it classy, champ," terminated Paxton's discount code and posted a statement about values. The Taekwondo Association he had listed on his profile suspended his competition license pending review. His 2 state titles stayed on the wall of a gym in his hometown for 11 more days. And then somebody took those down too. There is one more thing that happened in that auditorium, and it is the reason people still send this story to each other. When the conduct matters were finished, Chair Okafor said, "Mr. Tate, would you like to address the board?" Moses stood up. He held his hat. "2 things, sir." "Go ahead." "First, I'd like my logbook back. Not a copy, the book. It's got 4 years in it. It'll be on your desk tomorrow." "Thank you, sir." "Second thing." He turned slightly, and he looked at the row where a 19-year-old in a borrowed suit was sitting between 2 lawyers who were not his. The pledge. Grady Nunn. He filmed all of it because he was ordered to, and he was scared. He also uploaded it, which is the only reason any of us are in this room. He's not facing charges, Mr. Tate. I know, sir. I'm asking you to put in the record that he isn't. Out loud. So it follows him the right way instead of the wrong way. Okafor looked at the clerk. So noted on the record. Mr. Nunn is a witness and is in good standing. Grady Nunn put his face in his hands, and 600 people watched a kid stop being terrified. Anything else, Mr. Tate? No, sir. I've got a shift at 6. He put his hat on, and he walked out through the middle aisle, and 600 people stood up, and he did not turn around, because he had a loop to walk. 9 months later, the fall semester starts again. Kellerman got a new safety escort program that fall because 4 million people watched a video of a girl walking alone past a chain-link fence and asked why she was walking alone. Part of it is run out of the Veterans Center on 3rd Street, across town, the one with the bad coffee and the good people. The center runs a community service placement program, court referrals, conduct referrals, kids doing hours. One of the placements is supervised campus safety escort. Vest, radio, no authority, walk students to their doors. The supervisor for the night block is a 49-year-old with a green thermos. And on the first Tuesday of October, at 9:55 p.m., Paxton Hull signed in. Expelled. Enrolled at Delco Community College. 240 hours to serve. He stood in the doorway in a borrowed vest, and he could not make himself walk in. Moses looked up from the sign-in sheet. Hull, P. You're 5 minutes early. That's good. Yeah, radio's on the charger. Channel 3. Vest goes on over the jacket, not under. Paxton put on the vest. His hands were not steady. You're not gonna say anything? About what? About any of it. Moses closed the sign-in book. Son, I've got 9 kids on the walk list tonight. First one's at 10, from the library to Wexler Hall. You want to talk about last year, we can talk in March. Why March? Because in March, you'll have earned it. They walked the loop. Moses walks 4.2 miles, at a pace you can set a watch by. Paxton could not hold it for the first 2 weeks. Why do you walk this slow? So they can hear me coming. That's it? That's it. Scared people should hear you before they see you. Every third week. A freshman girl came out of the library crying about a midterm, and Paxton stood there with absolutely nothing in his hands or his head. Moses reached in his left pocket and handed the kid a butterscotch. Then he handed one to Paxton. "Left pocket," he said. "Always the left. Right hand stays free." Paxton started carrying candy in his left pocket in the 4th week, and he never told anybody at Delco why. In November, they walked past the fountain. Neither of them said anything about it. In December, on a Tuesday, Paxton asked the question he had been carrying since the garage. "Why didn't you hurt me? You could have." Easy. Moses thought about it for about 40 feet of sidewalk. "Because the second I do that, I'm just a guy who hit a kid," he said. "And every girl on this loop needs the other kind of guy walking behind her." They walked another 40 feet. "That's it?" "That's all of it," Moses said. "It's not complicated, it's just heavy." Here is where everything landed. Moses Tate's access was restored, retroactive, with full back pay including shift differential, $6,480, deposited in one check. He fixed the brakes on the truck. He put the rest in an envelope for a girl in his building who was 2 months behind on rent. The second edition of the manual went to the printer that Friday with his name on the author line, and the campus PD ordered 200 copies, and Chief Lomax mailed the first one to Moses's apartment with a sticky note on page 1 that said, "Took 4 years, brother." He is credited now at 11 other schools that adopted the program. He gets an email about it a couple times a year. He answers all of them. The hard candy budget did not change. 2 bags a week, same brand, same store, out of his own pocket. And he has turned down 3 offers from the university to reimburse him for it. "It's not the school's candy," he told them. "It's mine." He still walks the loop. Same 4.2 miles. Same footfall rhythm. Same green thermos. 6 times a night. He never talks about the garage. He never talks about the hearing. He has never once said the word recon on that campus since the day he said it on a concrete floor. Ask him about the whole thing, and he will tell you the review concluded and the process worked. Ask Officer Danny Ruiz, and he will tell you the process worked because 6 cops broke protocol to make it work. Both of those men are right. And that is the uncomfortable part of this story. Because here is what it cost while Moses waited. A courier named Dev worked 6 weeks in a knee brace. A 19-year-old named Grady Nunn went into a fountain in November and stood there shaking while nobody helped him out. A nursing student named Priya walked home alone 41 times past a fence a suspended man could not legally cross. Every one of those things happened during the 11 days that Moses Tate spent believing an email would be answered. He believed in the process. The process misplaced his log 71 minutes after a rich boy asked it to. The 3 men who threw the first punch got exactly what they earned. And they got it in front of 600 people and 4 cameras. But the men who took his keys never threw a punch at all, and they nearly buried him with a filing system. That is the ledger, Both sides of it, paid in public. The loudest man in the parking garage told everyone what his family's name was worth, and then he learned the price out loud, in an auditorium, with the lights on. The quietest man in the parking garage wrote 61 pages that thousands of officers learned to keep their hands soft with, and asked for his name to be left off every one of them. One of those men is still walking that loop tonight with butterscotch in his left pocket, and the other one is walking 2 steps behind him, learning how. The strongest man in the room is usually the one who never needed you to know it. Loud belts come off. Quiet work doesn't. Now here is the question, and it is a real one, with 2 sides that are both defensible. Moses trusted the process, even while it suspended him and lost his log. Was working inside the system strength? Or did the students shoved and hazed in the meantime pay for his patience? Tell us below. If this story hit you, subscribe now, share it with someone who respects quiet strength, and tell us in the comments which moment hit you the hardest. We will see you for the next story. It is already waiting.